Society, celebrating together so joyfully. Words pour out from our kind souls. There is no place for inflated egos. This place is home to you and me. Surroundings familiar, a community. Let's write the words from our minds. All those adventures will be sublime. This group belongs to the member poets, caring and sharing those precious moments. Let's laugh together, then share some tears, emotions displayed without anxiety or fear. Quill and Parchment Society, elevating poets, honoring art, enriching souls, celebrating community.
Welcome, Zach.
Hey, Phil.
Welcome, everybody who's listening. We did get here. Been an adventure today, hasn't it, Zach?
Sure. Always, something's always happening, but today in particular, I feel like
it's funny. I feel like we're behind the eight ball there the whole way. So I'm looking at the show list, the poems we have to read, and I'm trying to figure out where I left off because I deleted the marker, apparently.
Oh.
That
right.
I put in.
Well, you said there were 10 poems, right?
Yes, I'm counting up from the bottom. That's exactly what I'm doing. Good advice, Zach. Yep, we're opening up with Jag's poem.
Okay. All right.
10th from the bottom.
Right. Sounds good. Were we gonna? Did we want to say anything before we started, or?
Yeah, we got a little bit to say. We can talk about our adventure. And guys, we were going to start this at 7, but my daughter is very active in stuff after school, and I went and picked her up. Me and the wife did. Just got back. When I got back, I got everything started to go. My laptop wanted to update. So I texted you that one, Zach, that information. Yep. So once I got that to stop, I got it all started, and I got a message from Zach saying he's doing this episode in shades because his glasses lens popped out. So
right.
if you want to share that with them, Zach, at least they can laugh with us instead.
They literally fell off my face, and I've been searching all over my room for the house for the past 30 minutes to find my spare. No dice, no luck, man.
Murphy's Law, man. When it all starts falling apart, it just keeps falling apart. But I did actually get to hit go, and we heard the theme song, so we're now committed. We're doing this show.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Me, Zach. Me, Zach. Me, Zach. Me, Zach. Oh, let's see. I missed yours, Zach. Let's see. I got you in the lineup. I think you should be going first. So,
right.
Whenever you're ready to read, we're going to start with Jeg's poem.
Sure. All right, we'll do. This one is Ambiguity by Jeg 325. It goes like this. Vague words collected like oldies piled at a door. She said what we weren't, cold sentences striking the floor. Love was an unseen ghost haunting our empty grave. While night remained quiet, nothing left he could save. Unable to define their life, growing doubts assailed them. The book of hearts closed, entombing all hope within. End poem. Wow.
Good read, Zach. Let's see. I'm going to go down and look at there's a little bit in the author's notes. I'll read them aloud before I comment. With Garden Delights and AR 5.2, 57 words. She never wanted to be a couple, so she led him on. When he realized love wasn't real, he finally gave up hope. That's an interesting thing. I'm glad he put that in the author's notes, because I'm thinking specific breakup on this and love dying and stuff like that. But it's more about, one person was more committed than the other, and the title of the poem is Ambiguity. So it's ambiguous, obviously, because there's so much doubt and questioning there. And again, I always say this about Jeg, because he packs a lot into a little package. Basically, this is 3 small stanzas, and it read nice, Zach. It really did. It sounded good as you were reading it. So I like what it does. That the center stanza there, love was an unseen ghost haunting our empty grave, while night remained quiet, nothing left that he could save. I really like that, the way it's said. The love was dead, but was it ever alive? At least the ambiguity seems like it was over at that point, because he made a decision and says, well, there's no love here, so we're going to move on. But it's not an easy move on, because if you're wanting love or wanting love to blossom, it's a hard thing to walk away from. So I like this piece and what it says. It's more like, it's not dark to me, and it's not really sad. It's more just realizing it's not there. So why spend the time? So, Zach, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you when you said there was like a lack of like a lamentation, or it's more of a realization or an epiphany than like heartbreak, I think. Like something gone, like the relationship soured essentially before the vagueness and the uncertainties, and maybe that was always there to an extent, but speaker definitely understands the pattern soon enough, or to the extent where it becomes not confusing to the speaker, and these feelings that they have for the other are less confusing and are clear, because the other is essentially not it's a one-sided relationship. One is giving and the other is not. So that causes a bit of an imbalance, and causes some unfounded feelings, and it's just what they have is it's essentially dwindling. What little they had at the start was already ambiguous and vague, and as it goes on, he's literally, in a sense, in that middle stanza, taking his love to the grave in a haunting sort of way, and it's like diminishing returns from there. It just seems futile in a sense, and and by the end, there's like not only is it over, but there's like almost like a doom doomed feeling over this relationship, because all hope is entombed. So what does that leave you with?
Yep. It reminded me of it, and I thought about this scenario in the end. I remember when I was in ninth grade, way back when, we were building model rockets. And when you build model rockets, you have so many rocket engines that you buy, but some will be duds. So you always hoped that your engine launched. Mine did. So I was excited about that, but there was 2 kids in the class that their engines didn't launch the first time. And the look in their face is probably that look of being let down, deflated like this is. It was very deflating. There was nothing good about it. My point there. But I like what you said, Zach. Ready to move on, I think, I got Mario with 3 O's, Zach. I have to say that
every time.
I know it makes you happy. This is titled Internal Scope. I crawled through this tunnel, quite long for my side. It would never end. It had glasses and doors where I found my family and friends, then walked all those years, I remember. I grew so much in height, tall enough so my friends would never mind. It got cold in there sometimes hot, sometimes dark enough for the ceiling lights to glow. Waited for the sphere's light, though sometimes it never glowed. The pathway never ended. I started to bend and crack my back. My skin drew my attention, so I shattered the mirror I had. Finally got back to crawling, slowly faded and closed my eyes. There is this starkness the way I died. Woke up with paper, pen, and stand with a telescope in hand. Peeked through, found myself dead. Followed with dust and dirt. Might be the doings I left behind. End poem. What do you think of that one, Zach?
Well, this one, very surreal, almost dreamlike in a sense. Crawling through a glass tunnel that never ends. It seems like the speaker could see a lot of their own internal life and external life through the lens of this glass tunnel, where the speaker sees doors, glasses, family, and friends. So it's like kind of there's distance there, separation between the glass and the reality that's kind of existing outside the glass or inside the glass. I don't know who's outside, and it's like he's observing his life in a sense. He's kind of in an enclosed claustrophobic space. He's not really it's just not comfortable for him, I don't think. It's just it gets cold in there sometimes hot. It's not like, it's pretty inconsistent, I guess. And it's uncomfortable because it's a narrow sort of tunnel, and it's glass, and he shatters it, and he starts to bend and crack his back before the mirror shatters, and that's indicative of like the uncomfortable sensation of being claustrophobic. And even after the glass gets shattered, he's it's like he's dying in a sense, fading away. I think it is kind of like a dream in a sense, but it also speaks of his reality, what he's currently going through, in a sense that his pathway never ends, and there's like light, it's kind of literally at the end of the tunnel, but it's just kind of lacerating in a sense, because he finds himself dead in the end. He's covered in glass, and waking up with I think it is actually a dream, because he just dies, and then like the last stanza, he literally wakes up with pen and paper, and I guess he gets inspired by the dream. And I think that like he's looking at himself in the past dream, and he in a sense realizes that that lacerated self is perhaps what he left behind, maybe the things that he hasn't done yet. in a sense, like in a symbolic way that only dreams can really provide. That sort of logic.
I really like what you said there about the dreams, Zach, because that's what it seemed like to me as I was going through it there. It did seem like a dream, but there's a wonderful kind of quirky weirdness to this. And I've got this opened up and I'm looking at what Mario has put up for his avatar. It's a picture of him, I'm guessing, as a young man, because I assumed he was a young man. But the perspective he took on this poem was like his life was longer. He'd made it further in the life and then looked back through that scope internally. He's looking at everything that happened, and it starts and it goes through the entire life cycle. When he's crawling through this tunnel, quite long for my side, it would never end. It had glasses and doors where I found my family and friends, and then walked all those years. So there's a time progression to it that goes on down to the oldest and the older age. And my guess is, it's a natural death, and he's looking back on his entire life cycle, which is neat because it allows that to be a dream and a reality. And you don't exactly know what we're tiptoeing through here, one or the other. So I like that part of it because it could be interpreted either way, I think, or both ways even at the same time, which is kind of what I'm doing, because I like what you said and how you described it, Zach, because I got those feelings from it too. A dreamscape kind of thing. But there's also a wisdom to it that I like, because that's a younger man writing it from an older man's perspective. And I like that because it has this, it's just different. It's different than other things you read. And Mario, he surprises us frequently, doesn't he, Zach, with the direction he goes. So we always love reading it, and it's open for interpretation. And that's one thing that we all really enjoy when we read, is something that frees your mind to interpret what it means. Let's see. What do we got next? That was a great piece. Enjoy it.
Next up, you have Purple Gerber's piece, and that's entitled Lovers. And I'm going to give that a read. When did we let go of our hands to walk separate ways? When did we reach our end? When were we so sure to stay? Where did I lose you? Where did you go away? From another end, do you ever wonder to turn back once again and look over your shoulder? Do you step back? And if you do, will you be a stranger or a lover? All these questions haunt, but still keep me on my feet, treading impatiently. Will we ever meet somewhere in the middle? Or will I leave in defeat? I was ready to turn away, to give up this chase, but you were there too, and we stood face to face. I enveloped myself right into you in a tight embrace. When did we let go of our hands to go our separate ways? Now we have found each other again. Will you still stay? Will you find me again if I break away? It was a long journey from one end to another. We meet in the middle, yet it feels like a closure than a new beginning. What are we, strangers or lovers? End poem.
Good read, Zach. Seem to be doing okay with your glasses. Your future's
Yeah.
bright. I'm glad you're wearing the shades. Boy, that's cheesy. I almost hate saying that.
You got me, man. That was good.
I'm going to read the author's notes here. The Lovers, 1988, which was a seminal 90-day performance art piece by Mariana Abramovich and Ule, where they walked from opposite ends of the Great Wall of China to meet in the middle and permanently end their 12-year romantic and artistic partnership. That's kind of a weird, sad, artistic way to end a relationship. So
That's very dramatic.
This is very dramatic indeed, but didn't Purple do so well?
Yeah.
Writing that drama, because this was dramatic. The questions all the way through with the question marks and stuff like that. It really made it hit home, like pondering. This person is pondering for a long time. Could you imagine what it would what kind of time and effort it would take to walk the entire, well, half the length
Commitment,
of the Wall
all
of
that,
China,
yeah.
because they each did it. They're so committed to being uncommitted that it is ridiculous, almost admirable. So there's all these juxtapositions through the whole process, and I'm really glad I read the author's notes, because I was like, oh, this is an expression of something that is an expression of something, that these people have collaborated for, it said 12 years, and I'm unfamiliar with their art, but they collaborated for 12 years and were lovers at the same time. So they do that, and then it's just over. And they're like, well, how do we do it? Like when Forrest Gump started running, he just started running. And it seems like it's that an arbitrary decision, but I'm sure it was well thought out to end it that way, in a dramatic kind of way, to where they both probably felt like, well, at least we ended it with a bang. The fireworks were there. We did something special to commemorate the end of our relationship. So I really enjoyed it for that. What are your thoughts, Zach?
Yeah, definitely not a whimper that they went out on. I mean, it was sad overall. I mean, the tone of it overall was kind of resigned to fate, that they're going to leave each other no matter what. There was kind of like the questioning of like, would you go back and essentially change things? But essentially, there's a general acceptance to like the outcome of this relationship. The question of whether that this person will be a stranger or a lover. I think definitely maybe lover during the journey itself, because all these questions are assailing the speaker in a way that keeps the reader in suspense. I think it makes me want to find out what happens next. I didn't know if by the end of it, the speaker's lover would be a stranger or a lover, but by the end of it, I was pretty convinced that definitely stranger. Unfortunately,
stranger. That's what I thought too, Zach.
Yeah,
the same thing.
It's evident for sure. Is the overall tone was kind of accepting of that in a sad way, and I didn't really read the author's note until afterwards. So it kind of like feels relatable in a sense that not despite that it's about this historical event. I feel like this could still be pertinent for like a modern relationship. Really, a lot of these questions are still relevant. Not all, if not all of them, in fact. So I felt that it could be very relevant today and relatable for a lot of folks who are kind of walking a similar path.
So I had a thought of it too that I found interesting, that occurred to me while you were talking about yours. You rang a bell with me that made me think of this. These folks are walking forward and looking back.
Yeah.
How hard is that to accomplish? So I love the way Purple wrote this. It was very well done. And I think it stands alone without the author's notes, without
That's right.
that. And it is enhanced by the author's notes, knowing what it's about. I was like, oh, drama, real drama.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let's see. I think we're ready to move on, Zach, unless you have anything else to say to this one.
Oh, no, it was a great piece. I'm all set.
Great piece. Agreed. So we got a piece by Charles Gradante now. Any Street is Home. I believe that's mine. There are author's notes, so we'll get through it and then read the author's notes, because that seems to be fun to me.
It is.
I'm really digging it, because it changes my thought process just like that.
A little bit more context.
Yeah, right. So again, Charles Gradante, Any Street is Home. There is an address the rain can't remember, where birds never land, but pass from sight, where the mail goes without my name. The moon my lover, the stars my roof, the street my home, wide and unconfined. A paradox of lacking and finding. Connection is a payphone with its cord cut, a hiss where voices used to be, mother, sister, son, a fading photograph that bleeds their names into the city's throats. Society, a current of brief glances, hurried strides, a river rushing past the bank that forgot my name when machines took my job. I am the stone the water flows over, the silent rhythm beneath, disoriented and unmapped, without compass. I wander, drawn to windows. Inside every window, a different world, and every world is just a door away from the one I used to open. I sleep where footsteps forgot themselves, wake still holding my name. In poem. You reading the author's notes, Zach, or you want me to read them out loud?
Oh, go for it. Yeah.
Prompt by author. The fourth industrial revolution has begun. Artificial intelligence will impact future socioeconomic life. The poem is a meditation on joblessness due to AI and whether a society that embraces AI must also actively protect its sense of humanity. Fantastic painting by Mina Loy, inspired poem. This is the first inking in my diptych, its sister poem. I Keep the Night should be read second. That's the note. So go read that one second. Hopefully Charles submits that one for the next episode on the reading list, and we'll get to it and read it and share it with everybody. That would be fun. What are your thoughts, Zach?
This one was interesting. Clearly, the speaker is from the streets, in a sense, like maybe not originally, but definitely currently, and not disparaging in any way towards the people that live there. This piece, never. I don't think the speaker ever, in a sense, mentions the word homelessness or homeless people. Like, in a sense, like it's just like it's kind of organic in that way. And in the street is indeed a kind of a home for the speaker, without calling it that explicitly. The moon, my lover; the stars, my roof; the street, my home. Wide and unconfined. So there's a kind of a freedom there initially, and then when the cord is cut with the payphone, I guess when AI kind of takes over, I think like that sort of introduction of technology and machinery kind of overtakes the natural beauty of the street in kind of an invasive way, and does something similar to the speaker. I think it disorients the speaker. The machines took his job, so the AI essentially put him out, I think, on the streets to an extent. There's the speaker's lost and wandering around, looking inside windows, because maybe they're imagining each world that lives within those windows and potentially what that could be like. Anything probably would be preferable to that state of being on the streets like that, not knowing where to go. And it's just kind of heartbreaking in a way, sleeping where I guess people just are temporarily in that space. It might be the street might be a home, but I don't think it feels like a home for the speaker at all. It's kind of grim that way. It kind of ends uncertainly and in an uncertain way. When footsteps forget themselves. So that speaks of how temporary this residence really is.
Mm-hmm. So there's so much to like about this because there's so much to like in it too. Obviously, this is a statement on the reality of where we are going and how it affects artistic things for one, is our biggest concern right now because we're poets and we know there's AI out there for music, for writing, for all sorts of things that you can use and, go about it that way, which eliminates the art from it, if you ask me for my opinion. But this is more of a social piece on the unemployment and what's going to happen when robots can do jobs that humans had traditionally done. I work in the auto industry. I see robotics. I know, you know, what they're capable of, what things are capable of, and how they displace people from working. And there is a realization to that in my industry because we look at every robot that comes in as a job lost.
Hmm.
And that's how we view it. We don't want robotics and automation in our industry. We want humans to do that job, to be on that job, to make decisions that matter in that moment that a robot can't do, because a robot will do the same thing over again and over again and over again the exact same way. But if any input changes, it may cause that robot to stop. They can't make that decision on the fly. That's the difference between AI controlled stuff right now in my industry. But what Charles is saying here is absolutely true because it makes the bottom line, it's more efficient. But the cost of that is society's going to pay eventually because you're not paying those robots. That money isn't getting out into society and circulating. People will be jobless, homeless, blah, blah, blah. It just continues to spiral. And I had another thought in this piece, what it brought up to me. This, if I was to say like a time frame, it reminded me of The Matrix, like two prequels before the first movie. You know what I'm saying? Like we're heading that direction to where we're all just going to be
dystopian.
Reality and fiction isn't going to matter because it's all going to be the same. It'll all go together. Nobody will believe the fiction is anything more than reality and the reality is anything more than fiction. It's so weird because the things will get confused and people will be out of jobs. And that's the beginning of it. The machines rise. You know? At least they're not trying to kill us in this piece. They're just taking our jobs and starving us out slowly.
No James Cameron here initially.
Yeah, right. I mean, it really made me think of a lot of things. Yeah, Terminator comes eventually too, right?
Yeah.
So I like the piece. It's definitely thought provoking. Well done, Charles. Let's see. What do we got now?
Next up, we have Aaron Farrah's piece, and that's Glued With Me. I'm a sickly lot, or I forget just what he means to me. A feathered head with a slate bed, holding a tremendous strength indeed. No lions roar to abhor when a virus seeps as sludge. A mellow climb and heights defied, it's the two of us set free. We dance to the song of how we belong in the arms of the other, a softened breed. Monstrous nightmares left to sleep. Linked like chain, love letters not vain. Just a couple of him and me. Stories told, do behold, patiently awaiting the honey from the stingless bee. Let us grow and show with kisses that flow as a stupendous river of to the sea, sparkling like wine, a company like wine. It's him, lewd, with me. End poem.
Well, that's sweet. It really is. I wanted to comment before I ever comment on any part of the content there. The way this was written, Zach, and you reading it, it had a very easy flow to it and rhyme scheme that was nice. It was very pleasant. It just kind of not meandered because it was directional. It went a direction, but it waltzed that way to me as it was being read. You read it very well. I appreciate how you read it. And it's because of the way it's written. The rhymes were right where they needed to be to impact the reading. And this is a beautiful piece about the feelings of love. So I'm a sickly lot, or I forgot just what he means to me. That opening line, when you read that, I'm a sickly lot, I thought, well, this is going to be kind of a negative piece, I think, where somebody's dealing with like a long term illness, whether it's, you know, terminal or what, I didn't know. But then it made me smile immediately when you read, or I forgot just what he means to me. And I thought, oh, this is a love poem. This is
Mm.
nice. That so a feathered head with a slate bed. I loved that rhyme. A feathered head with a slate bed. It's very uplifting the way these things come together. And there's some dark words in here, but they're not dark in the way she used them. So it's well done. I appreciate how Aaron did that. I liked no lions roar to a boar when a virus seeps as sludge. I was like, that to me, I really liked that line. I liked the way it sounded. I liked the way it felt when it read. It was beautiful. And there's a dark word in there that kind of throws it a little bit off kilter, but puts it in that. It reminded me of like a lovesick kind of thing, like remembering how much you love someone. At that moment, you're like, oh, I'm love sick. That's what I am. So it kept going that way through this stuff. Soften breed, monstrous nightmares, left to sleep. So she mentions monstrous nightmares, but they're left to sleep because everything's good. There's the dark, there's the light in the same line. And I love that. You know, I'm a sucker for the contrast between dark and light. I'll say it over and over again. So I love this piece for that because there was some nice contrasts in it. Your thoughts, Zach?
Yeah, there were some contrasts between dark and light, particularly. I think like this poem speaks to like the longevity of these two lovers going through the darkness and life of life, the trials and tribulations. They're like essentially dancing through it. When they put the nightmares to sleep, they're kind of relaxed in a sense and at ease with each other. I just like how. Again, I'm going to say relaxed, the feeling of the pieces, because it's calm in a sense. It's not, this kind of love is not intense. It's like, no lions are roaring. It's mellow. And, I mean, very gentle and sweet, and almost like literally and metaphorically, because they're kind of, it mentions honey, multiple times, and I think glued with me, it's like they're like glued together in a sense, stuck together by like honey or something in a kind of a sweet way. I just like that image of almost, I guess like they're almost like bees in a way. I think stuck together, like the imagery kind of reminds me of the way two bees or like almost like the courtship of like some kind of creature or something like that, but it's like, of course, because of all these nature references, just kind of, or motifs, just kind of bring me to the mind of like nature and how nature interacts, and kind of it's a very natural way that the feeling is. It's organic and very. Again, I think these two are at ease with each other in a sense that they flow and sparkle, and very touching. And I just like how they are like stuck together, but they're not like in a like a permanently bonded state, but like a comfortable glued state. Like it's comfortable. They're not uncomfortable together. It's very nice.
It's not super glue that's stiff.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, Zach. Well said. So I'm going to admit something. Apparently, I can't count with all the excitement in the show in the beginning and getting things together and hustling through and all that. I even looked at it twice, Zach, and still got the order wrong. So I'm counting down, and in order to your poem, you either have to read the next one and go two in a row, or I read the next two and then we start over. Which do you prefer?
I don't mind reading the next.
The next one
I've
is
read.
Pac. So if you want to continue on to Pac-Man's, that puts us
Sure.
on right to where you're back on your piece, and I apologize for doing
Oh,
that, but we
no
got
worries,
through
man. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'll do that. The Rendezvous.
it.
By Pac-Man. Okay.
I love the
Um,
way that word looks, by the way. I've always loved the way that word sounds versus
yeah,
the way it looks. It's fun.
I like the Z in particular and the V.
Hmm. Me too.
Interesting
The
consonants.
Z and V right beside each other.
Yep, yep. All right. In love, we strolled a mottled lane with hands held soft a fleeting while. Shall we part as twilight seeks its rain, a final touch, perhaps a smile? A moment bathed in setting sun, our lips entwine, though lost in thought. Shadows gather when daylight's done, when love's sweet light is caught. No vows were penned, no chains had bound, our love free as the breeze uncaptured. No whispered word that lingers found, yet I felt a heart enraptured. I would have you melt in our embrace, and our heart shall beat as one. These last glorious rays let darkness chase and bid adieu to the setting sun. Wouldst thou have me linger perchance to behold the orbs of Venus and Mars, that we may fall victim in this romance and dare fall in love beneath the stars? So shall we part as day blends into night, having cherished every fleeting mile. One last kiss, then softly take our flight. A final touch, perhaps a smile. End poem.
That was beautifully written and well read, Zach. It's a very soft melody all the way through that piece. It was very soft all the way through it, loving and easy. I like what is said. There's not like a sharp word in it past rendezvous. Oddly enough, so there's this softness and twilight and fleeting and all that stuff. I didn't see a harsh word in there, and by harsh, I guess I mean sharp. It not aggressive. It felt light and breezy and flowed very smoothly. I like the lines were written and spaced and all that. He spaced out the second line on some of the lines, spaced them out to give it just that little bit of a pause between. And that was beautifully done because I think it enhanced the softness of this poem of love. And I'm sure there is a subject, there is an actual love being thought of here, but it applies to romantic love in general. Just a declaration of how romantic love is soft and kind and sweet when done the right way. It's so exciting in the beginning. It seems like it is a very comfortable, weathered love, and that's what I like about it because there's this kindness and this sweetness. But then it says the title is The Rendezvous. Is there a time frame on a rendezvous? Can a rendezvous last a lifetime? I'd say so. That's what I kind of get out of this is, it could be like a rendezvous for an entire lifetime because this spans time. This is a lasting, a long love, a mature love, I believe, is what this is describing. And then to describe it in the title as The Rendezvous is kind of funny. It puts a little different thought process on it because a rendezvous implies like, obviously a sexual encounter that is very fleeting and exciting and fast, but this piece is not, in my opinion, the way it read. What are your thoughts, Zach?
Well, I think that is in fact a slow but steady breakup. I think I think it's different. I think it's a little bit different. I think it's slowly bittersweet. And love, we stroll the model lane. So There's a lot of talking about parting. Shall we part as twilight seeks its rain? A final touch, perhaps a smile. Already right off the bat, we're talking about a breakup. And a moment bathed in setting sun. It's like setting on the relationship. Shadows gathering. You could feel the end of something coming. The inevitability of in a sense. No vows were penned. There's still a freedom in a sense that they still exist within this relationship, but it's fleeting, I think. I really do. Despite the last few rays, because these last few rays, I think, are closing on this, essentially setting, so it's like the weather is reflecting the way the relationship is going. And it's a fleeting moment for them. I really think like it might have been sexual, because to behold the orbs of Venus and Mars, that's like a nudity. I think has to do with nudity, but in a sense that victim, that they may fall to a victim of that romance. That they would keep it that way, rather that they wouldn't keep it that way. And would they, in a sense? There's like a questioning. Would they make it romantic or not? There's a little bit of uncertainty there. But by the end of the last stanza, shall we part as day blends into night? So shall we part as day blends into night? So it's like they really enjoyed what they've been through, every mile through that mottled lane, and then they enjoy one last kiss and a final touch and a little smile. And I think that's really just what they did before leaving each other. But it didn't leave. I don't think they left with a sense of sadness. Really, it wasn't like really that much bitterness. It was very sweet parting. Shakespearean in a way. That parting is such sweet sorrow, but it's really mostly sweet.
Now, Zach, the way you described that to me, I feel like I got duped by Pac-Man with his softness in this, because I was like, oh, this is so loving and kind, but I see exactly what you're saying. I do. I see exactly what you described there in that. It is, but it's so soft. It
exists within the softness. You're right.
Yes,
it does.
It's not
Yeah.
looking back at it with any kind of bitterness or breakup or anything like that.
Right.
Really. Just so soft all the way through. I was like, oh, they're describing this one moment, but it seemed to me like it had lasted for a lot of time because it was so soft and kind. So I appreciate your interpretation of that. It opened my eyes to a whole different thing. This is
mine too. Yours
necessarily sad. It isn't
right.
sad. It isn't a breakup. They're not like throat punching each other and running away. They're like, oh, I'm so glad this happened. We had a great time. And it is a soft memory, not a harsh memory. And that's why he used soft words. Masterful. Really, really was. Very well done. And I love the fact that we both get different things out of it.
Every time.
My eyes to that. And this one especially, with its softness, was very, very nice. I very much enjoyed it. Oh, let's see. So what do we got now?
Oh, Deborah Lee's is up next, I believe.
Oh, yeah. I lost my scrolling. There we go. Well, all right. I just scrolled again. Boy, we're going to be lucky to get through this, Zach. Okay. This one is by Deborah Lee 05. Today, you will bring me white roses, is what it's titled. I wonder if after you have rewritten my skin, will your silence follow again? Will you notice the trail my blood streaks on wood? The floor remembers more than I do. It holds the weight my spine rejects. I wonder, will your sorry arrive today? Will it be sharp-edged or soft-tongued? Love is a foreign language spoken within these walls. Perhaps you will bring roses as an offering. I wonder which shade your guilt will wear. Red to say we burn, not break. Yellow, pale, bending towards your every excuse. Blue, an artificial apology, tethered to your knees. Maybe if I stand, I will be made whole. One breath, one step, one prayer. Today was different. The wood drinks me again, unquenched. Your offering to your hidden war. Your need to keep me weak, keep me down. Today your white petals are too late to matter. Today I am an unfinished prayer. Tomorrow you will lay your apology against my grave, where my casket now lays. End poem. That got dark.
Damn. Hmm.
Ooh, boy, what are your thoughts there, Zach?
Yeah, that one. That one was about like a domestic horror. That one really didn't get any better with time. That one just got progressively worse. I was hoping that somehow the speaker would be able to survive.
Zach, let me interrupt you and read the article real quick. That way we don't get confused on this piece at all.
Right.
Because I believe Deb put this in the author's notes for that reason. Right. This is an awareness piece written for 16 days of activism against the abuse of women and children. It bears no weight on my personal circumstance. Good.
That's a good disclaimer. Yeah.
Well done. Appreciate that author's note. Now, go ahead, Zach. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, sure. It's kind of necessary to this kind of topic, that opening stanza is pretty brutal. It really sets the tone because the floor remembers more than I do, meaning that indicates blackout. And who knows what that is like to the speaker. It's very scary. The sadist, who is the speaker's, I don't want to say lover, but other person at the moment, it's he likes control, and he likes control to an extent where it's like he's an author in a sense, writing her pain through via her blood and her flesh, and there's like a lot of references to colors here in a painful sense because we have the bruises and the blood, the yellow bruises, and the and blue too, and love essentially is twisted in a way that is not love. It is foreign language. It's foreign language. It's sharp, at sharp edge. There's no softness to it. It's not even tough love. It's just not love at all, really. It just benefits the sadist who's trying to break the speaker, who does break the speaker to the point where the speaker is resigned to the fact, seemingly the fact that almost like an acceptance of their own death in a way, and that's resigned to fate in a really dark sense. Very terrible feeling of doom. No way out, hopeless, but well written for sure.
Very well expressed on the purpose of this piece, and there's a real issue with things like domestic abuse and child abuse and all those things. They're everywhere, and it's so sad and so unfortunate. This made me think about being a man, being a father, being a husband. I'm in these situations, and I will start with this. I will say I am not a perfect person. Nobody is. But I was taught growing up some lessons about what a man is, when you get fully matured, when you become that father and husband, and, you're no longer a child, you're a full grown adult man. And a lot of it centered on this. Man, the male of our species, has the capability to really damage physically another human being. Our bodies are designed that way, and our minds are designed that way. But when you grow up and become a full grown adult man, part of your manhood is understanding that you have that capability and knowing when to use it and then to instantly soften again in the right situation. You turn it on, you turn it off. If you don't have control of that, then you will do absolute damage. And that's what this piece is saying, that, and it isn't just men. I don't mean to sound like I'm man hating, because I'm not. I don't get that from this piece. But women and children are especially vulnerable to that kind of abuse, more so than what an adult, a growing or a grown man physically could be. But he knows a man is responsible for being, learning and being taught what the capabilities and responsibilities of being a man, a father, and a husband, and, having that soft kindness all the time, even though the capability for hurt and all that is there. So I like what this says. This was a piece that I breathed a sigh of relief when I read the author's notes.
Mm-hmm.
It made me happy that it was a social piece that is meant to bring attention to that subject, and it did it in a very nice, soft way. I really enjoyed it. What are your thoughts, Zach? Did you go already?
I did.
No. Okay. I'm sorry. I just got wrapped up in my thoughts so much.
Yeah, it's intense that way.
That is very intense. I like that word. So
yeah.
Let's see. You're probably ready to read the next one, aren't you?
Oh, that's right. I guess so. That's my piece. And that's entitled The Clock Tower of Hangman's Overlook.
Really like that picture, Zach. You did it.
Yeah. On one darkest night, a midnight black ink blots the sky. One crooked clock tower looms over Hangman's Overlook, making jests, leveling an accusatory finger at the gods. Sways under the weight of a honeycomb of golden bells. The hitchhiker's tightened thumb, reaching for the burning sun. Clock strikes one set of 12 chimes, beating bells sway. Pounding sound louder, reverberating low moan quakes. Tower shuddering like earthquake. Split wood and stone. Bells vibrate faster. Sound discharging a fluted wail, buckling under the pressure of a cacophonous din. Not the sonorous twinkle of Sunday church bells. Bleeding torment squeezed out folks caught in hell. Beyond the hellish wail of bells, the tower shakes. Vibrations reach lands farther than frenzied makers made. Smelting metal with star sky fragments. A group of 50 people brought wood and stone for an overhanging babbled clock tower. Lifted a skinny finger and tried to scratch the cloud's underside. Frostbitten fingertips, worn to the frozen nub, fall to the soil. Toil draws to a close. The acolytes sink to their knees, lifting heavy arms, brandishing frozen stumps skyward, falling forward, flattened, stuck to all stony stories, flesh blackened, charred, melted by the wind's fire. The old town collapses, buckling as eerie bells shake. Splintered wood gores, stunned residents not as dead. Soon the village reeks, and carrion receives the boatman's call, devouring living, the dead, babies for crows, bones and all. Worms crawl out, peck-glazed white eyelids fall. Flies swirl around the juddering clock tower, seduced. Rainbow hues, the clock tower, and the notes produced emerge all living flesh eaten by all the decomposing rest. 2 clock tower ticking young ones from across the world start walking toward another, boy and girl. Bodies linked together by other worlds than these, drawn by magnetic forces neither one knows, each for the other, waiting aeons to see flushed faces carried forward by a lilting breeze, pushing and pulling. Dripping sunwise to lunar tides, their connection flowered, many evenings watered under frozen moonlight skies. Their new love looms, outlasting ruinous doom. 4 winds blow long, they will be together soonest. Clockwork hands march, marbled matriarchal tombs stay silent, crumbled to fertile clay. Dewdrops bloom as days face icy ruin. The white orb lords over the mountaintops' shadowed gloom. Bright blue blossom heads spread before moonlight. End poem.
Puke. Way to go, Zach. I really like that one. You did that on purpose. I know what you did there. You started that out doom and gloom and dark and yuck, and then just brightened it up a shade every stanza, didn't you?
Pretty much.
That was your intention, wasn't it? Well done. So as I'm going through that, I've listened to you read it. When you first started, I thought, well, Zach just did. He's going to really hammer the darkness here, and then it got a shade lighter. And then it got a shade lighter. And I was like, okay, I know where we're going. And it's funny because as you were reading it, your tone changed too. I hope you go back to the show and you hear that because I heard it. I've heard you read poems enough to where I know, as your tone's changing, I recognize it. So I like what you did here. And it's I'm going to tell you, I am not really up on like Lovecraftian Gothic narrative poetry. But you clearly are because you followed the same pattern all the way down. Not like it was cookie cutter, but close enough to where you recognize the flow and the rhythm that I liked. I like it when you read your poems and I read my poems, and anybody that calls in reads their own poems because they know the rhythm of the poem right from the beginning. So you got straight into it and it felt really good as you were going. And your voice lightened with the lightening of the poem as it progressed down. So you kind of went at it in the other direction rather than go light to dark or back and forth. You just progressed out of the darkness into the light. That's what I got out of this more than anything. I wouldn't say like necessarily falling in love, but at least there's a connection at the end between two people that is casting light in this dark environment that you described in the first few stanzas. So go ahead and tell me what you did there, Zach. I got out of it that. I enjoyed it, by the way. Well done, sir.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I appreciate that. This is just a little bit of fun for me. I kind of like just thought about this story about like a cult that kind of builds a clock tower to the sky, almost like Babel from the Bible in a way, in a sense that they don't know exactly why they're doing it. They're just doing it. They're just compelled to do it. And they do it to the sky, essentially. They just build this giant clock tower, and they essentially die doing it, all of them. And they don't know why they're doing it. But it just goes off. It starts like, reverberating, and they don't know why, why it's shaking on itself, basically. But basically what it did was it just rather than like kind of ending things or like making anything completely horrific, they unknowingly brought two people together in a way, in a weird way, that they didn't know why they were doing it, but that's just kind of what Lovecraftian madness does. They don't know why, they just do it anyway, despite limbs falling off and such. But the impact of their activities did lead to something that wasn't catastrophic, but kind of like probably not their intentions.
It's funny because it seemed like it was just, I hate to use the word casual to describe something so dark in the beginning that moves down there, but it's like just casual in the end. Like, whoa, we realized each other were there. La la la, we don't have anything else to do.
They don't know why, but
slave and toil and fall in love. So it's funny. Well done, Zach. I like what you did there. That's a very playful piece, I think. Even with the darkness to start.
That's
with.
right.
Playful piece. Well done. You got your point across. I think there. It was fun to hear you read it too. So let's see, what do we got now? This ought to be interesting by the title. We've got Writing in Circles by Dawn Gone Zeta. I won't even say anything. I just should read it. I feel humiliated when I write. I feel agitated. when I edit. I feel disgusted when I'm finished. I feel remorse when I reread. I feel anxiety when others view. I feel nervous when others comment. I feel nerve-wracked when reading feedback. I feel contented when I sit back. I feel prideful when I revel. I feel ashamed when being proud. I feel disheartened when shamed. I feel depressive when I contemplate. I feel inquisitive when I realize. I feel like writing when there is self-realization. I feel I will always be in pain when I write. I fear I write because I will always be in pain. End poem. That really fits the title so well, doesn't it?
Mm.
That is a very well titled piece. Because I didn't want to speculate on it, even though I did kind of. Go ahead, Zach. Your thoughts?
Yeah. This one, I like the structure of this one a lot. Writing in circles. I like the use of the pronouns throughout the I pronoun. I don't usually hear it that often, that repeated that often. Like that usually kind of annoys me, the repetition of I, but not here. Like in prose, it kind of annoys me, but this is not the case. This repetition. It's not quite. There's like a writer's compulsion here to sort of to get it out, get whatever it is out there. That's within the speaker. There's a lot of pain there. And the speaker is always, there's like a self-realization that seems to be the speaker's inspiration, like almost like an epiphany, and that seems to spark some inquisitive feelings within the speaker, according to the last stanza. And I'm just like how the last two lines especially, I feel I will always be in pain when I write, which is almost like a confessional poet's sort of statement. I feel like something Sylvia Plath would say. I fear I write because I will always be in pain. So that's kind of an interesting parallelism there, and like there's a fear there, but there's also like sort of almost like a comfort that the writing will be there no matter what, despite all these sensations associated with it. It's better than not writing, I think, and I think that those feelings would be somewhat amplified if they weren't written down. They would be suppressed, and which is that's hard to kind of contain and comes out in unnatural ways sometimes. So this, I think, was a very cathartic write for me to hear, especially. Mm-hmm. And I just thought that it was really like negative at first, but I really like how it was turned around when all this was essentially for the good of writing, all this process and sort of agonizing over it. It was all worth it in the end to kind of like better the self in a way when this sort of epiphany occurs and it moves the speaker forward rather than backward. So I really like that.
Yeah, well said, Zach. Your thoughts are well said. And this isn't a very long piece, but it sure travels a distance in that space, because this is so relatable to all of us that have tried to learn how to write poetry for one reason or another. Most people come to poetry, they start journaling and things like that, and they get to poetry because they have some things that they're trying to work out or express or figure out in their own way for that therapy, the cathartic, sensations, the things that you want out of it. And this is an open look from Don Gonzeta at that process, which lets you into the feelings of somebody that is writing poetry and sharing it. You want to share it. You want people to look at it. You want to read it, but you have anxiety, especially at first, about how it's going to be accepted. how it's going to be looked upon. So when you get those first reviews, you read them, and then you get some positive reviews and things like that, and it encourages you, so you get excited about it, but then you feel guilty about being excited about it.
Mm.
So it's that circular feeling. You're like, well, this is good for me. I'm so excited about it. And then you're excited about it. There was a point in time when I first started writing, I went through all of these emotions where when I first started writing stuff and things like that, where my wife was like, she was wondering why I was writing so much. And I was like, it's like a new toy.
Mm-hmm.
I just found, and I'm so excited about it. It's like a poem a day. I didn't care about editing them. Things were misspelled. It was horrible. It really was. I've grown since then, but the process isn't as quick anymore because I've gone through that cathartic period. But I still have those same feelings of where I want to share my poems with people and I want to have them reviewed and stuff like that. But it doesn't mean as much to me to get medals or front page picks and stuff like that, because I understand the important part of it is you express what you want to express. And it's understood. If one person reads your poem and understands what you mean by that poem, you've been successful.
Mm.
So that's kind of the circle we all travel in. So I think this expresses a very good cycle that we all recognize, where you have the guilt, you have all of that because you're excited about sharing stuff. So it's neat. It's neat for that. It expressed it very well. Let's see, Zach, what do we got now?
We got Merv's piece, and I'll read the author's note first.
Okay.
It's the ninth wave, and the author's note says, in ancient Irish mythology, the ninth wave is much more than just a large swell of water. It is a mystical, thin place, a veil that separates the mortal world of Ireland from the magical otherworld. It was a form of capital punishment for heinous crimes. That's a little bit of background. So,
something I know nothing of here. Glad we read the author's notes first, Zach. Well thought.
The Brehon sat upon the mound. The sky was bruised and gray. The verdict spoken, heavy bound, no silver price to pay. For blood that spilled on sacred soil, or kin fire turned to ash, the law demands a salt sea toil, away from whip or lash. No stone to mark a shallow grave, no earth to hold the shame, just the cold and hungry ninth wave to wash away your name.
Zach, can I stop
Beyond
you for just a second, please? You faded out there in a space, okay? The internet blipped on you. It wasn't your fault at all. I thought you may have went to mute or got disconnected, but you stayed connected, just went blank. And it was about 4 lines in. So do you just want to pick it up from the beginning?
Sure, I can do that.
We lost a line and a half.
Yeah, we did lost a lot of it. Yeah, okay. All right. The Brehon sat upon the mound. The sky was bruised and gray. The verdict spoken, heavy bound, no silver price to pay. For blood that spilled on sacred soil, or kin fire turned to ash, the law demands a salt sea toil, away from whip or lash. No stone to mark a shallow grave, no earth to hold the shame, just the cold and hungry ninth wave to wash away your name. Beyond the ninth wave, where the deep green turns to black, with a single oar and a broken core, and no way turning back. You're cast adrift from the harbor's gift from the clan of Cattle Plain, to find the land of the ever young, or perish in the rain. They led him down the shingle beach, past the rowan and the thorn beyond. The Druids reached where the ancient rites were sworn. A hide-bound boat, a currach slight, no sail to catch the breeze, just a bitter draught of the coming night upon the churning seas. Push him out, the chieftain cried, beyond the white-capped line, where the laws of men are cast aside and judgment is divine. 1 wave for the broken vow, 2 waves for the furrowed brow, 3 for the cattle stolen late, 4 of the iron hand of fate, 5, 6, 7, The shoreline fades away, 8 for the sins of a yesterday, but the 9th is the wall, the 9th is the gate. The cliffs are teeth against the sky, the gulls are screaming high, there's no one left to hear the cry or watch a ghost pass by. If the gods see fit to guide the wood to a distant misty shore, then you've paid the price of the brotherhood and you walk the grass no more. But most are swallowed by the foam beneath the crushing crest, with no more hope of a hearth or home and a salt heart in their chest. Beyond the 9th wave, where the deep green turns to black, with a single oar and a broken core and no way turning back, you're cast adrift from the harbor's gift, from the clan and the cattle plain, to find the land of the ever young or perish in the rain. In the scrolls of Brehan, the truth is laid bare, where the climb is too heavy for the high king to bear. They strip you of honor, of metal and kin, to let the great ocean decide on your sin. If the gods want you living, they'll wash you ashore. But if you are hollow, you're seen nevermore. For the 9th wave is the boundary, the edge of the world, where the spirit is judged and the life is unfurled. The tide comes in, the tide goes out. The law is written in the salt. End poem.
Well read, Zach. That read like a song, didn't it?
Read like some kind of mariner chant.
Yeah. You could see people rowing to it.
Yes, you can.
That's I was like, my God, heave-ho.
Yep, heave-ho. Yep.
So, and there's a link here that Merv put on. There's a song version too on Suno. So there's a link. If you guys read this and you want to hear what Merv has done with it in a song, I'm sure it's a very ballady kind of thing with that. I believe, and Merv, I'm going to apologize in advance if I'm wrong. I believe he is Scottish born. So this is in his neck of the woods. I know it's an Irish tale, but the fact that you read the author's notes in front of it, Zach, really kind of hammered home that feeling and made it even more feel like that heave-ho kind of while they're rowing. You see like the river Styx, but it's the ocean instead of the river Styx and all that. It's kind of the same plane, I think, cut from the same place. But it is very, very thoughtful in a way that like the first 8 waves aren't really that bad, but it's the 9th wave where the proverbial poop hits the fan. You either make it or you don't at the 9th wave. You're either dead or you come back, one or the other. There's no, but the way it's described in this is really deep. And there was a lot to process. So I may have missed some things, and going back and reading it again will be helpful, or possibly listening to the song. But it felt like where it come from as it read. It had a beautiful chanty kind of way about it that you could see, like I said, and you said, people rowing to it in a very, very gloomy, downtrodden way.
Mm-hmm.
Stuck in the hull of a ship somewhere, just sad as all get out with no hope. But, it doesn't. There's some great descriptors in it too, and some of the words I'm unfamiliar with because they're cultural. That would be a good thing to go back and research after another read. But Merv did not disappoint. He's very heady when he writes his stuff like this, and it is very grounded in tradition. You can feel it as you read it. So I like that feeling of it. And I'm unfamiliar with the tale, so I may do a little bit of research and figure out what it is, although it appears Merv has described it very well in this piece that wasn't overly long, I think, for what it was going into either, because it needed to be in depth. What are your thoughts, Zach?
Yeah, I thought it was a lot of words, but it didn't take long to read. Just because the way it flowed was very not simplistic, but just easy to kind of like decipher as a reader, and fun to read. And it just reminded me of Samuel Taylor Coleridge's Rime of the Ancient Mariner. It's sort of like an old seafaring narrative poem, one of my favorites, and it kind of has that sort of atmosphere to it, that sort of heave-ho rowing feeling, that grim face, no smiling sort of like below decks feeling, and it's kind of grim that way, and like not only that, but there's like divine judgment within that. It seems that it's almost like they're at the end of the world, and the ninth gate to heaven, and whatever is decided for them. The water, I guess, the great ocean is, in a sense, decides on your sin, and either takes you away, washes you ashore, God's want you living, or they take you away. It's they decide upon your life, and I like that sort of mythological wrinkle that Merv adds, this in the form of this tale, because I'm not familiar with Irish mythology, and I think this is an excellent sort of way to dramatize some of that, and I think I appreciate it more, the Irish mythology a bit more, and I certainly, or was it Scottish? It must be Irish. I don't know.
It said but Irish,
anyway.
But Merv is from Scotland originally.
I okay, gotcha. All right, that makes sense.
I had to think that through too, Zach.
Yeah. Because I'm part Scottish, even that kind of like I guess it's mixed that up sometimes. But anyway, I just really enjoy this piece, and I don't know quite some of the nautical terminology, but I think still the general. I want to look at some of those words, but I think I just get the gist of it, and I just like the nautical terminology throughout, and a bit of a nautical motif throughout the night, I'd say, Bo.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of a theme. So I want to add to what you were saying there, Zach. The one thing I kept hanging on to, and I don't know how many times it was written, this phrase, or it's paraphrased in the poem, was like this stanza: beyond the ninth wave, where the deep green turns to black.
Uh-huh.
That is so fitting. And he used it at least twice, maybe 3 or 4 times. I can't remember how many times it was there. But that really got to the core of what's happening here. So this poem, like you said, Zach, and you said this, it's what made me think of it, is very easily digested and understood, but complex at the same time. And that's hard to pull off.
Yeah. And out of the green and into the black,
yes. Yeah.
That's cool.
There's so much to it. And it hints of like Dante's Inferno. It has that feel. Obviously, you're dealing with water and waves, so it kind of seems like it'd be the exact opposite, but it has the same feel.
Still hellish.
Yes. Yeah, still hellish. That's right. So, and it's a subtle kind of hellish. You know what I mean? It's like, to me, it seemed like it would go on forever, but it all has to end. I think that's my best one yet, Zach.
That was a good segue. That was a good one.
My best one yet.
Oh,
I knew you.
You really got me that time.
That was a great one.
Really got me that time.
That's great one to end on too, and you did very well reading it too, Zach.
Oh, thank you. It was a good one.
Once we finally got going, we had a great show.
Oh, yeah. It was smooth sailing, so to speak, right?
Yeah, smooth sailing there, right at the end for sure. The themes were great. The Archies did very well, as they always do, with giving us fun stuff.
Range.
Yep, a broad range. And despite our difficulties getting started, I think we did fantastic, Zach. Appreciate it, y'all, the way through. Great job as always.
Too, man.
And we're going to try to get back on schedule next week. Hopefully everything cooperates. We have some announcements and stuff coming up. We'll get to it next week's show. Until then, Everybody,
Take care.
happy reading and writing. See you later, Zach.
All right, Phil.